Hello everyone, this is Josh Vision, and I'm here to give you my Da Vinci's Demons Season 1, Episode 3 review and discussion. So in this episode, the major conflict is the fact that this nunnery, convent, basically is being ravaged by the devil, essentially. Like basically all the nuns, the mothers and all that stuff, they're getting assaulted by the devil. They're having all this weird sickness. They feel like they're burning, skin's peeling off, they're bleeding. Like basically a lot of crap's going on. At one point I believe even in the middle of the market with Vanessa and young Nico, and I believe Lorenzo's younger brother were in the market. One of the nunnery women was actually she went crazy. She took one of Lorenzo's brother's men own sword and stabbed herself in the eye, and killed herself. And obviously this isn't good, publicity, if you're a part of the Medici family, when this woman literally takes a blade and kills himself right in front of you after blaming you for everything bad that's happened, to the city, so on and so forth. So while this is going on, we have this very interesting scene with Count Riario basically playing this game with this mysterious character, who's basically in a jail cell, and he has some type of chain wrapped around him. So he's clearly been there some time, looking at his clothing and also that big white beard. But you wonder what kind of role he's going to play later in the series. And it's obviously someone whom Count Riario admires to some extent. Because I believe early in the episode he mentioned the fact that he's never defeated him in this game. And this game seems to be a game of strategy. We also meet Riario's lover, who gives wine and cheese to Riario while he's playing this game. So when we meet this guy, when we actually see his face in the jail cell, he talks about the importance of how to play, this game. About much like in life, you have to have the element of surprise. You have to take the corners first, and how you have to, in order to win things, you have to go after things which may seem to be like opposing objectives, and how you always have to stay calm, cool, and collected, but at the same time to not get so arrogant, because the most dangerous animal is a wounded animal. So while this is happening, basically we get a little back and forth with them throughout the episode, but the main point of this episode, like I mentioned before, is a conflict with with the nunnery convent. So as we know, Da Vinci's really obsessed with the Book of Leaves. He's trying to find a way how to get more and more information, how to get that key, so on and so forth, before Count Riario and the Pope get it. So unfortunately, he's disturbed from his studies by Nico, telling him about what happened in the market with that nun basically killing herself. And as we know, for Da Vinci, he can be a little temperamental and kind of a prick. And Nico's like, listen, dude, if you're going to act this way, then I'll just remember when you need me for stuff. So eventually Da Vinci gets back to his senses, and he goes with Nico to the convent. So speaking of Nico and Da Vinci, we go to the next scene in regards to Lorenzo, his brother, and Becky. So due to the people seeing the woman die in front of him, Lorenzo's brother wants to sort of take responsibility and find a way on how to solve the issue. As we see so far in these couple episodes, he's very much like Da Vinci, but clearly he's not as smart. He's smart, but come on, Da Vinci is a genius, but still, they both have their points of they have to grow up and mature, but especially in Lorenzo's brother's case. And I think Lorenzo actually thought about that, in this episode, and actually gave his brother the opportunity to prove himself. Even though the people love him, he has to actually prove himself to be capable of being a possible, successor, just in case Lorenzo, so on and so forth. So another thing that happened in this episode, I believe, is the fact that the conflict between Lucretia and Lorenzo's wife. So early in the episode, while Riario and that strange guy in the jail cell was playing this game, we get a little we get a little bit of cut flash cats, whatever you like to call them, while they're playing the game, with Lucretia getting some type of note, probably in regards to what Lorenzo told her in the previous episode about her finding some note at a certain location with the Omega sign or something along those lines. So she gets the note, and we see her after she gets the note. She meets up with Lorenzo, and they have, make love time in his little carriage. So the next morning, his wife observes the carriage and notices a rose that's on it. So obviously she's pissed off, knowing that this is once again Lorenzo stepping out on her. So we have this scene in which Lorenzo is stressed out, and also he has a right to be stressed out with the whole Pope deal and the art. What was it? What was it? The Archbishop of Pisa. He's also kind of worried about, because that was basically the Pope's representative that he wants to take control or something. So many things in this episode. But in regards to that, we all know that there's a traitor amongst them. We all know that Lucretia is a traitor. But obviously they don't know, and Lorenzo is freaking out. His wife saying that, you should have read my letters, like Becky had basically kind of said to Lorenzo, because Becky was like saying, hey, there's a possibility that, your wife might actually be the spy. And like any regular husband, he had a right to be a little outraged by it, but, his wife did point out that Becky was correct for at least thinking the worst, because this is trying times, but that she would always stay loyal to Lorenzo, and Lorenzo knows that. He even said that to Becky himself, and that she's aware of his infidelities, especially with Lucretia. But she said, listen, I know you're stressed, and I know men get that way when they need to let out some steam, some energy, but you must always come back. And she proceeded to drop her clothes and say, you must always come back, saying, listen, you got all this here, okay? You want this. This is much better than any other thing that any other woman can give you. I'm your number one, basically. So after that, we have this scene in which Lucretia is tricked into meeting Lorenzo's wife in the Medici chapel, and they discuss the whole thing about a possible traitor in Florence, and how she was basically saying to Lucretia, listen, I will tolerate it, but you have to keep it on the DL so no one sees it in public, and that there's been other mistresses besides you. And even though I hate your guts for what you're doing with my husband, what helps me sleep at night is the fact that I'm married to him. We have legitimate children, and that I'm in the Medici painting, basically, in the chapel. You will never be here. You will never be acknowledged, so on and so forth. That's what she said, Lucretia. So let's get back to the whole convent and nunnery thing. So Da Vinci and Nico and Lorenzo's brother are really trying to figure out a way how this all happened. How did these women get, quote-unquote, possessed? And apparently one of these women turned out to be Vanessa. So this makes everything even more dire, because Vanessa's like a great character. And she's literally and the best friend of Vinci and Nico. And she's literally on death's door right now. So what makes matters worse is the fact that the Pope's men, especially, I believe, the guy in charge of the Vatican archives, Luca, I forgot his last name, but these guys are kind of weird, okay? I believe at one point this dude, in terms of like doing a exorcism, choked some woman to death. And it was kind of weird, because while she was getting choked out, she was saying, you're not an exorcist. All you care about is basically screwing things. That's all you care about. You're not as holy as you claim. And it was kind of ironic that after he choked her out and killed her, he had this weird look on his face, like he actually had an orgasm. Like it really turned him on sexually. And I think everybody in that room, especially Da Vinci, noticed that, and that really creeped him out. In regards to Vanessa, she was saying how Da Vinci lied to her, saying that by her leaving the convent, basically that she was going to be free to do what she wants, live a life of happiness, that he was going to show her the way, so on and so forth, and make her, really enjoy her life instead of being, in a way chained down by the nunnery rules. And she was saying that he lied, basically, like I mentioned before, and that they must be like toys to Da Vinci, because Da Vinci's so smart, and so handsome, so beautiful. And she kissed him, And I believe the guy, the guy in charge of the archives in the Vatican, he was about to do a exorcism to Vanessa, and eventually, hey, hold it, dude. Listen, give me some more time, give me another day, and I'll figure it out. So eventually, they find out what's really the cause behind it. And it was actually red ochre, which was actually put there by Lucretia. And that was a thing that Riario had left for her, in that underneath the Omega sign, basically. So this was all a trap by the Vatican, by the Pope and by Riario, essentially. So it was interesting how they got all this done. It was such a really crafty way to do it, because the red ochre would have been like undetected if Da Vinci hadn't used like fireflies, like kind of like as like a code red type thing. Those kind of lights in which you can see things that you normally couldn't see with the human eye. Basically like that, in order to find out and figure out what the hell was causing all this death. So with Da Vinci being able to do that, he basically scared off the leader of the Vatican archives and the Pope's like other bodyguards, essentially. So that was mainly all the episode. I believe another thing that should be mentioned is the fact that Riario once again reiterated the fact to the Pope that it's much wiser for them to protect and keep Da Vinci and basically screw everybody else. Da Vinci's the main guy we need. His war engines, his intelligence, the fact that he still has connections to the Son of Midrash, even though they're an enemy of ours, this could work to our benefits and he can still be turned, basically. It's kind of like Darth Vader speaking to the Emperor, in my opinion, but whatever. So if I missed anything, I'm sorry, guys. So many things have this episode, but I believe I got to the most important parts. I believe. Oh yeah, one more thing. It turns out when it comes to Becky, Becky's been arrested. So Lucretia was able to basically put all the betrayal, her lies, and conceit on Becky. And, Lorenzo backhand Becky so hard made him bleed. So now Becky's basically imprisoned, about to be executed or dealt with by the Medici. Woo! Thank God I just remembered that just now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching my review and discussion. If you have anything, you want to say to me in the comment section, please write down below. And yeah, adios. Have a good one.